The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Yeah. NY born, NY built.
What is up, yo?
Vanilla
Happy
Gorilla,
Sunday,
Big Dog.
Another Sunday
Untouchables.
with
Let's
your
go.
favorite
Step in the
hostess
ring like kings of
with
the block.
mostest.
Gorilla grip, big dog, never stop. Iron in the veins, no gimmicks, no props. This is hard work, black top and body slops. Ain't no flash, just fists and fake. We run through ropes like we run through
It
gates.
can't be. This is crazy. And if nobody at home knows who this guy is, this is the big dog. And he did get a tip from the Brooklyn Prodigies earlier on that they had travel issues, but not due to them being scared or anything like that. But oh my gosh, the Vanilla Gorilla and the Big Dog and the Untouchables just inserted themselves into this tag team.
Elbows harder than a steel trash can. One shot, knock them flat on sight. Two beats bred for the spotlight fight. They can talk tough, bark loud all night, but in the ring, we bite and we bite right. We are untouchables, NY bred. Two fists swinging, leave legends dead. Joey bring the rage, Dave bring the brain. Together we storm like a runaway train. Untouchable, New York style. We don't tap, we make them snap.
Yo, what is up? What is up, yo? Happy Sunday, fun day. Sorry for the delay, but we are here, the favorite podcast all over the internet, Turnbuckles and Stogies Pod. I am the host with the most, the man of the hour with the power, the big dog. That is the Vanilla Gorilla. And we are known, as you've seen on our new intro, the Untouchables. 25 years. 25 years as the Untouchables. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to recap wrestling, but first, what I want to talk about is the person we have coming on. I don't want to take up their time too much, so we'll talk about wrestling after they go off, whenever they go off. If not, we'll talk about it next week. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special person we've been trying to get on here for a while. We have Dissident Cigars. Right there. See that?
Give us 1 second.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
And here they are.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Hello, guys.
Welcome. Hello, guys. As you can tell,
hello.
It's only 20 degrees here, so, you know, we're sitting in sweatshirts and stuff. Unlike you guys. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I miss the cold. That's for sure.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
So this is Cynn and Joshua Coburn, the owners of Dissident Cigars.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks
Thank you
for
for
coming
coming
on.
on.
Everybody been asking when you're gonna get them on. I said, listen, bro, everybody got busy schedules. But everybody got busy schedules. So Joe,
I know ours has been insane the past like 2 months. It's been ridiculous on our end.
Nice. Well, Kevin Page says hello, by the way.
Hello.
Tobacco Buttheads Tobacco.
No, yeah.
That's where we got these from, by the way.
He was the only one I knew that would. He was the first person I thought of. I'm like, if anybody's gonna have it, it's gonna be him.
Oh, that's so
Nice.
cool. Yeah, I love that he's his rep. Like, it's so funny. The broker that comes to his lounge, it always cracks me up, the stuff they do together.
Oh, Kevin is a one and only. And I always say, if Kevin doesn't have it, it doesn't exist, or they put it out of market already. So let's start with you guys. So let me ask you this. So now, do you rip off the top and smoke it, or do you cut it?
You can actually do either way. So that, like, if you just pull lightly, it'll come off. But I actually I use a V cut for everything, so I just shove it through a V cutter. Josh uses a flat cut. He puts it through the flat cut, but that's actually made to be able to pop off, so you don't even need a cutter. As long as you do it slowly. Yeah,
it can be a little risky sometimes, especially if it's, maybe in your case, maybe fresh out of the mail, because it'll, jack up the construction a smidge sometimes, but in a pinch.
I'm just going to cut it. I tried ripping it. It started pulling a little too much off for me, so I figured I'd just cut it.
Yeah, in a pinch, it's perfect. Then you're not biting it or trying to do it with your nail or something. But yeah, we always generally prefer to just go ahead and cut it. But
I like the drive.
The cold draw.
That's great.
That's great. The first cigar in the Dissident line that is actually toned down a notch compared to what Dissident was known for so many years. So that's actually like more on the medium side, and everything else Dissident prior to myself was pretty much heavy. Like everything was heavy. If you've ever smoked the Rave, even though that is a Connecticut wrapper, I wouldn't call that a true Connecticut cigar. Right. For me, if I smoke that cigar in the morning, I will get sick. That is a heavy. It has Pennsylvania broadleaf in it. So I mean, like, who wants to smoke a Pennsylvania broadleaf in the morning? I guess there are people that want to do that, but I don't want to get sick.
I will. I do that. I'm a Maduro smoker, a heavy smoker. So when I get up in the morning, all my cigars are heavy. So now let's get back to you guys. So how and when did you decide to come out with your own line and decide to move where you are now?
Well, Dissident's actually been out since 2013, and I'm the third owner. So for I don't know how many years, it was actually owned by another guy named Ryan, who started the brand. And then it was bought by a gentleman named Ben, and I don't know the story behind that, and I don't care to know. But right after that, we were actually asked if we wanted to purchase Dissident, because at that point it was being made through Oveja Negra, James and Angela Brown.
Yep.
And so we were already living in Nicaragua prior to even owning Dissident. So, and James and Angela, like, we could literally see their house from our house. And so we were super close to them, and they offered it to us because they knew that the current owner no longer wanted it, and they didn't want to see the brand die. And, they already have 3 of their own brands. So taking on a 4th was kind of it was a lot. It's a lot for anybody, right. That's a lot to manage. So yeah, ultimately it was just a matter of deciding whether we wanted to take that on financially. Like, obviously we had to purchase Dissident. That's not something that was just handed to us. That was a large undertaking in itself. And then to keep that going, was another thing that we needed to make sure that we wanted to do. But yeah, obviously ultimately that we chose that. So yeah. And it's weird because everyone assumes we moved to Nicaragua because of Dissident, but we were actually already here.
Okay, so what made
we love
you
cigars that much?
so is that what made you guys move to Nicaragua? Was the cigars, or like did you move
yes
just
and no.
out of the United States and cheaper?
Well, we went on the Oveja Negra factory tour in, I think it was 2020. It was like literally a week before the whole COVID shutdown thing. In fact, when we got back from that, it was like just 2 days later or 3 days later that the shutdown hit. So originally we wanted to take the kids on vacation here because after we did the factory tours up in Esteli, which is like 5-6 hours north of here, we went down and stayed a couple days with James and Angela in San Juan del Sur. And we felt that's where we're at. And that we fell in love with this area. So we're like, oh, we want to take the kids on vacation here. And then the whole COVID thing happened. And so the kids were like, well, why don't we just move to Nicaragua? Wow. And we're like, well, pump the fucking brakes for a second there, because that's like a huge, that's a huge decision. So we had them study Nicaragua, not just listen to what we had to say, because obviously we're seeing the beautiful aspects of it. We're seeing the beaches and everything else, but there's also a reality to things, like the street dog population and everything else. But long story short, they studied up on it and still decided they wanted to move here. So we came with one suitcase each, and we sold our vehicles. I was able to find a house here before we moved. We purchased a vehicle here before we were even here. We had our fridge stocked for us, and so basically we got here with everything that we needed, and it's been that way ever since. So we're coming up on 5 years being here.
Wow.
That's pretty cool that your kids said, let's just go to Nicaragua. Normally it's the parents.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The kids actually, we've moved so much because, I have kind of a rough past and like homelessness and, abusive relationships and stuff. So fortunately, like they've seen a lot, they've moved a lot. And so nothing really scared them, like they understood the value of seeing different areas and experiencing new things, where I think some people kind of get stuck in their comfort, and comfort prevents people from exploring. And our kids just weren't like that. They wanted to see and explore. And so we were like, yeah, let's do it. And it's been such a good decision because they learn hands-on with so much, like we live on a massive farm, and the farm hands teach our kids a lot. They've taught them how to sharpen machetes, and like there's just so much to it that like
That's
I'm
awesome.
so thankful for it. Like they've worked on the tobacco farms even, so it's a lot of hands-on stuff that it can't be replaced. We're only like 45 minutes from Ometepe Island.
Wow.
And there's a lot you guys don't know yet, and people watching don't know yet, but there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and a lot of stuff that has to do with Ometepe, and it's a really cool time. And I know to a lot of people we've been quiet. That doesn't mean stuff's not going on. We've been busting our asses the past year, so it's been pretty crazy. But yeah, it's all good stuff.
That's cool. So Josh, tell us a little about yourself now that we know about your wife.
Mm-hmm.
My history is kind of interesting, right? That what even brought me to cigars, because I was in corporate marketing after being in body modification for years, a decade. Then I got into corporate marketing, which we still, myself and my partner still own a marketing agency. And then I was also writing books and traveling and speaking all over the world, really, just kind of doing motivational type speaking. And then and wrote some books and all kinds of things. And ultimately, in those travels, my partner was a cigar guy. So he'd always want to go to cigar lounges to work before whatever we had to do in that city, right? Because it's quiet. You can have a cigar, do your thing, and have the internet. And I never quite understood why, because I wasn't a cigar guy. And eventually him and another mutual friend was just like, dude, if you have a cigar in the lounge, it'll change your experience. It won't just be a place to sit and work. And because he would talk to people and commiserate and whatever while he was working, and I'd be quiet, like doing my thing. And ultimately, I had my first cigar on the road somewhere in the South with him. And then the next lounge we went to, I had a cigar. And of course, dude sits down and he's like, what are you smoking? And therein lies the entire history of most of our stories, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how it all went down for me. And I told him the reason I didn't want to necessarily have a cigar was because I didn't need another thing, right? Because for me, like everything that I do turns into a bigger thing. Like everything I love becomes a business or something I'm super into. So I didn't need another thing. And now like it's kind of his fault that we have all this, because ultimately I wouldn't have met her and like all these things that even led us to Nicaragua. So it's pretty crazy.
And so much more than that now. Mm-hmm. Like it's precisely why he doesn't get into things, because then they go 1,000%.
I follow him on Instagram and Facebook, and I love when he comes out with his little signs and he goes, this is what today's gonna bring. And he points to the sign and reads it and then goes, have a good day, see you later. And he walks away.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And that's that I've been doing some version of since like way back in the MySpace days, like 2006, 2007, like that's how
that's when Tom was your first friend.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Me and Tom.
Oh, me and Tom.
But yeah, I've been doing that for years. And like, there's periods where I'm like my life isn't conducive to doing that. So I've kind of hit pause on it now and then, but mostly it's been consistent for, I don't know, 20 years almost. So
Probably more than that now.
yeah, I guess that's true. Probably more than that. But yeah, it's just something that I feel like I need to tell myself something to keep my own shit together every day.
Mhm.
So it's like, why don't I just share this? And, you know, if I need it, maybe someone else needs it. And turns out
Right.
people need it. So it's
They
nice.
do.
You know, there's
Yeah,
days when I'm and
Well,
Joey.
that kind of goes back to what Danny said.
Look at Danny.
He said, Josh is a positive force in the social media world. I very much look forward to his daily posts. His notes are a springboard for my day.
Right on.
That's Danny
Yeah.
Nichols from Florida.
Nice.
Yeah, he's actually, I see him pop up on a lot of stuff. He's really active
Oh,
with
yeah.
us. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Nichols is the guy that when you ask him something, he goes, well, I know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy, so just call him and tell him I know you. You know?
We have some people like that in our lives too here. It's always like, hey, can you help with this? It's like, yeah, I know a guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Let me make a phone call.
Mhm.
So how did you come up with the names of your cigars? Is this like you guys sat down and just sat
Or is
there
that part
and
of
said,
like
you know,
what you
I
part of the
wanna
property you bought?
name this, I want to name that. Like we smoke, and I know it's Josh's favorite because he told Joe
The
the
stove
Soapbox.
box.
Oh my God. That was
Delicious.
Oh, I was like, yo, and that was the first time, Cynn, that was the first time because, you know, we smoke a lot of cigars, but we've been moving for like the last 2 months. So I said, I got to buy Dissident before she gets on. I got to buy it. So we went and bought it. It was the first one we ever smoked.
That was
with
delicious.
The Soapbox. Let me
Nice.
tell you. And Kevin said, try this. And I said, well, let's smoke the Soapbox and then smoke the Molotov after the Soapbox. And then I said, wait, because I'm not going to be able to run up to Kevin on Saturday and Sunday because we got to finish the house. So I smoked that and I saved this for the show.
This was very good.
Soapbox, oh my God, was on the money. How did you come up with all of these names for these things?
So with the smoke box, it's the smoke box, not the so with Soapbox, that was part of the core line of Dissident. There's Soapbox, Rant, Rave, Tirade, and what's the Block. So those were actually pre-us. And so what we did was with that core line, we just kept it up with the names because that all fit so well with Dissident.
Right.
And so when I started blending cigars, it's so stupid. I just have a note in my phone. And anytime I think of a name, it just goes in that note. And, you know, we're both music nerds and, you know, love metal music and stuff. And so we based a lot of stuff on that. Like the plasmatic cigar, that's for Wendy O, like, you know, the plasmatics. I wanted to do something for her because, you know, she was a female, you know, punk superstar in the music industry. So it's all basically, it all lines up with being authentically you and not being afraid to be yourself, you know, like don't conform to things, just be you. So that's kind of what we keep it in line with. So that's why you see like the Revolt. That's another one I blended.
Heretic,
yeah.
Standing out from the crowd, not conforming, like she was just saying.
Yeah, and it will continue that way.
When we went to see Kevin goes, he has all the boxes lined up, right? So he goes, oh, I must have ran out of the Molotov. I must have ran out of this. I must have ran. So me and Joey just floated around.
I was just standing around. I found a box of the Molotov sitting there.
Oh, it's the white box. It's not the black box.
He said I was looking for a black box, not a white box.
Yep, it's the only cigar with a white box.
Plasmatic. We launched with a
white
box.
Oh, that's right. Also. Yeah, that's right. The
yes,
plasmatic.
And I think didn't he find that one too?
I didn't find that one.
He didn't find that. I think he's out of that one.
No, but this is very good. And I like the box work that went with this cigar.
I like the ash.
The box work that went with this fitted very well.
You know what's crazy is that was actually done with my cell phone before we knew that we were going to do that cigar. I was just messing around and Josh was like, stand here real quick. And he takes a picture of me with like a beer bottle or something. Just a cell phone picture. This was like 4 years ago, and then it ended up going on the band and the box, and it was so weird how that worked out, but it ended up working out like really good.
A test shot to see what we really wanted to do, right? And it just kept coming together, and it was so punk rock, and it was so exactly what it needed to be that as I was messing with it, we're both like, this should just be it, then. Like this.
It definitely fits well along with everything else in your portfolio.
So how does it feel? And I hate to say this, how does it feel to be kind of like a celebrity? Did you ever think that you would be like all over the world and all over the country and people would recognize you?
So the way I've always lived my life, I've kind of put myself out there for a long time. Like I used to have a casting agency. So I was in a movie at one point. I've always been an odd. Oh, nice. Yeah. And I think that takes a certain kind of person, to be able to put yourself out there. I've always just done the weird, odd things that people don't typically do. So, and Josh was really well known at the time when I met him. And so, I don't know, it wasn't ever weird to me. What I find weird, and here's a really good story for you, is being in another country when you're just living your life. Say here, you're at a grocery store in another town and someone recognizes you from social media. That's when it gets me. And I'm like, who the fuck knows me in Nicaragua?
Well,
Right.
Let's be honest, Cynn. Let's be honest. And I love your tattoos. I love the way you look. And Josh, you have a great woman there, because I am a tattoo guy. I have tattoos on. I can't show you because I got my sweatshirt on. But I love tattoos. My daughter got her first tattoo with my wife over the summer when I retired, because I went to Kevin's and I bought eight humidors full of Gloria Cubana. So, at that time, my wife was like, oh, you bought 8? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 tattoos. Emmy Joe, we're getting tattoos. I said, sure. And I paid off the wife's car, and it's funny because, like I wrestled for 25 years. I took my son and my wife up to an event years ago up in Hartford, Connecticut. And I know Lou Albano, he managed me like 5 times. So I seen him sitting in Wendy's. So I went in and I sat with him, and these kids come over and they go, oh my God, I know who you are. And he goes, I'm sure you do. He goes, no, the guy sitting with you. And I'm looking around, I'm like this. I'm like, me? He goes, yeah. He goes, you're Big Dog from New England Pro. He goes, you're Big Dog from NWA New England. I said, thank you. He goes, can I get an autograph? And Lou looks and goes, hey, dummy, get up and give him an autograph, dummy. And take a picture with the kid, will you? So I stand up, I take a picture, sign autographs. My wife goes, we're 3.5 hours away from the house, and somebody knows you. I said, babe, I don't know. We were in North Carolina. We're in Walmart. I'm walking. Now, only people I know in North Carolina is my family. I'm walking because I did some shows down there. I'm walking. Somebody yells, hey, Big Dog. And I hear it. I totally ignore it because, everybody calls big guys Big Dog. So right. I'm walking. They go, Big Dog from New England Pro Wrestling. I'm like, my wife's like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious right now? I'm like, babe, I just don't know what to tell you. I said, it is what it is. She goes, you're the only guy I know that could be 16 hours away from the house, and you're going to run into somebody. Yeah. So like that, we were on the Jersey Shore one day on the boardwalk, and somebody goes, yo, Big Dog, you used to work in Adams. I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, can't I go somewhere and just be left alone?
Yeah,
but it's Josh. Yeah, like it's just crazy, like how people just recognize you from social media, from wherever. Like you could show up in a restaurant and trying to eat, and they're gonna want an autograph. They're gonna want to take a picture, and you're like, "Can I just eat first?" And some people get mad when you say that.
Right.
Well, like, let me eat.
We've had that happen. There was one time we were like in Des Moines or somewhere, and we were just trying to enjoy. And this is not me talking bad about these people. I don't think people understand how to act sometimes when they see someone they recognize. But we were at like an Indian restaurant or something, and we were just trying to eat. And I could tell by the way these people were staring at us the whole time that they recognized us. And I always wish that people would just approach us, because then that takes the pressure off.
Right.
I think that to them, they're just scared. You know, they're like, oh my God, do we bother them? Do we, you know, just sit here? But if they just sit there and they're staring, and it's like, I'd rather them come up and like, we'll hug them and we'll, you know, get your pictures. It's okay, because it's not, we expect it. You know what I mean? So we're always kind of somewhat mentally prepared for it. But it blows me away where it's like, there was one time, I think I was traveling to, where was I? Louisville. And it was like 1 a.m. and I just got off the airplane, and I'm so tired. I'm haggard as fuck, you know, like my makeup's all over my face. And I hear Cynn, and I'm like, no way I just heard that. And then and I'm like, I look over and I'm just like straightening up my back, and, you know, like, cause I'm just like, just not there, you know, and I'm like, oh, hi, you know, and, you know, you got to put your face on and everything. But it's those times, or like, you know, it's just in England and people knew who I was, you know, when I was going to the cigar lounges, or in Dubai, when I was there with PCA, I had random people who, you know, just from smoking cigars, they knew who I was. I was supposed to go to Kuwait after Dubai for an event that I couldn't shuffle my flights around, but the guy from Kuwait happened to be in Dubai, and so he knew who I was. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, how weird. You know, all parts of the world, people recognize me. And I'm like, I'm a nobody, you know, like I put my pants on the same way as you. We all take shits. Like we all, you know what I mean?
It's true though.
I love that. See, and that's what I love about you. You're like one of us. So listen, guys, on that note, we got to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Complicates and shakes you, consumes all that makes you deep inside your bones. In a moment, choose the things you want, and remember who you are and who you want to be. An anonymous dream came calling deep inside your soul, and it came with love and splendor, everything you're
Yo, what is up? Happy Sunday Fun Day. You are back with the favorite podcast on the internet, Turnbuckles and Stogies Pod. Follow us on all streaming networks. We are here today with Josh and Cynn Coburn. So, Josh, we had a question from Danny Nippers. He asked a question. He said, so is Josh Cynn's husband?
Yes, I am her husband. Correct. I like to say it because she's, she blends the cigars. She takes care of most of the business end stuff. I'm just the arm candy, and someone's got to be that, right? So that's what I am, the arm candy. Oh, or for the sake of the podcast, I would be the escort or the manager, right? If we're talking wrestling terms here.
Right.
Well, I mean, either way, arm candy, manager, it's all the same thing, in the business,
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the night, you go home with her. That's it.
Well, right. Yes, absolutely.
Let me ask you this, because I like asking everybody, what is the blending and aging process like for you guys? Because I love asking that, because everybody kind of has their own little, twist to how they blend and how they age. And, for the people that like to watch this, a lot of them, don't understand sometimes how tough that blending and aging process can be.
Correct.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it for sure. When I first bought Dissident, my views have changed a lot. So when I first bought Dissident, it was a little intimidating because I wanted to make sure that I blended stuff that everybody liked. And I was quickly like, no, I'm not going to do that, because no matter what you blend, there are going to be people that like it and don't like it, right? But there's also leaves that you just can't, they're just not going to go good together. Some may make, like if you're putting, say, like an Esteli, like Ligero in with something super mild, like sometimes things just don't work. Sometimes, you know what I mean? So you have to understand that. But for the most part, as long as you understand your personal fermentation process and how you like to ferment and all those little things, then you're going to create a good cigar. So what I started doing was just blending cigars for myself, cigars that I like, and putting them out that way. And the other thing is as we were talking about earlier, Dissident was always known for having very heavy cigars. And I think that goes without saying that most of Oveja Negra cigars are known for that. Everything that comes out of that factory tend to be heavier cigars.
Yes.
So I wanted to add my personal touch to that, and kind of being that also, like, being a woman in the industry too, I know that some people just enjoy like lighter cigars. And so I wanted to make sure that Dissident offered everything, not just heavy cigars. And I also noticed that there was cigars in general that really didn't have like floral notes in them. And so I started focusing on floral notes. So plasmatic has more floral to it. So that's kind of how I go off of things. And now you guys are going to be seeing a lot of new things happening. I won't go into too many details, but there's a factory under construction. So we are the owners of a factory, and we now have our own fields. So now we are seed to smoke, basically. So that's a huge thing. So with that, we did step away from Oveja Negra because we felt it was time to step into bigger shoes.
Right.
Because we have the opportunity, So yeah, we jumped into that, but that's a long process. There's so much that goes into starting a factory.
Still working on some of it.
Yeah, especially when you also have fields and all that. So that's a massive process. But yeah, so we're stepping into those really big shoes, and you're going to see multiple brands come out of there.
Wow. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm actually
Danny,
smoking one of the brands right here. I'll give you guys a sneak peek. This is by Northern Cigars. So this is not my brand, but it's our partner's brand.
I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, I smoke it a lot. This is actually a cigar that has indigenous tobacco in it. So you're going to be seeing a lot of cigars that come in the future with indigenous tobacco. But there's going to be some little things to that. They might be limited releases. We don't know yet. We don't know.
Well,
but yeah,
ask you that. So
What's that?
explain to the people in TV land, as I call it, indigenous tobacco and how you're going to put out, like, I call it legacies, but you guys call it just one-time runs. So explain to them what indigenous tobacco means, because a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, so indigenous, so for hundreds of years in Nicaragua, tobacco has been used in ceremonies and rituals and as medicine, and it's still used today. And this particular indigenous tobacco is grown in the wild. Obviously, we don't grow it in the wild. You know, we have it in a controlled environment and we pay attention to it and everything, but it's still traditionally grown in the wild. And if it's not grown in the wild, it's being grown by indigenous people. And a lot of locals buy it still to this day for their ceremonies. The shamans get it. I believe, is that what they used when you had your ceremony? Do you know what tobacco they used?
I'm not sure what tobacco was
So
used.
He was part of a ceremony here in Nicaragua, and they do this thing called rape, and it's basically powdered tobacco, and they stick it in this like V-shaped pipe. And the medicine woman or whatever, she sticks the one end of the pipe in your nose, and then she blows through it on the other end, and it shoots powdered tobacco through your nose, basically.
It's right into your sinuses.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And intense, to say the least.
Yeah. So because tobacco, it really does have healing properties. And when done in certain ways, they believe it connects you to God, you know? So it's really interesting. So we wanted to make sure that we put those beliefs and that heritage and that legacy into cigars. So you're going to see a lot of that popping up. This is the El Brujo by Northern Cigars, and El Brujo basically means the witch, because witch is not a bad thing, you know, it's like a medicine doctor. So you'll see that in these cigars in particular, all have one, and there's three different ones. There's the red line, there's the green line, there's the blue line. They all have this indigenous tobacco in it. It's just a matter of how it's used, like, you know, how many leaves, or if it's the binder or whatever. So you're going to be seeing more of that. But this is with Northern Cigars, who's our partner. So that this isn't Dissident. But yes, only Northern Cigars for this. I'll be incorporating this indigenous tobacco in some of our cigars as well. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I talked about this because this cigar is so special and it's going to be so important. There's only 2 lounges right now that have it because they're kind of like tester lounges for us to see how well it's received, because it's such a different tobacco. And to us, it's an amazing tobacco. It smokes so well, and the flavors are beautiful, and they fly off the shelves in the 2 lounges. I mean, we've had to make so many reorders on this thing. Yeah. So in our factory, you'll see that this is one of the brands that come out of it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's really cool. And then I also came up with another brand called Galleria Sultana. So this is not part of Dissident. It's going to be a second line from myself, because for those of you that don't know, I've also been doing a lot with PCA, Premium Cigar Association, fighting for our rights as cigar smokers. You know, some of you I know have seen me in DC lobbying with senators and House of Representatives to make sure that the laws don't go overboard with cigars, because that's happening. It's absolutely happening on state levels. It's getting pretty scary. So with that, I know that whether it's with PCA or say I'm doing an event at a golf course or a high-end place, I know that Dissident is more for the blue-collar workers and people like ourselves.
Badasses.
I mean, you said it, not me.
You said it, not me. I mean, I didn't say it. You did.
It's what it is.
But you know, I'm not stupid, and I understand that. You know, there's going to be people in their suits who may like Dissident cigars, but they might not like carrying around what the label shows, you know? So there's going to be a high-end line that I'm doing called Galleria Sultana. This is a tester cigar for it. that is going to be for that side of things as well. So there's 3 brands for you that I just talked about coming out of this factory. So but that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, none of it's been.
Well, we appreciate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, Turnbuckles and Stogies Pod, the best podcast on there. You have an exclusive right here from Josh and Cynn Coburn, and we're not going to tell you any more after that. So don't email us, don't email them, because we'll tell you where you can get them when they're ready to be got. We'll get them and we'll let you know. Until then, game over.
Yeah, it'll all be publicly professional media releases and stuff when the time is right. And you'll start to see some really cool background stuff sooner than later. We're just in the middle of a lot.
Should start that. I think we should start that after the first of the year. This way we give them a new thing.
So Danny said, I feel like a badass outlaw just having Dissident in my humidor, and even more when I'm smoking them.
I love it.
How can you not? I mean,
I mean,
it's an attitude. Dissident is an attitude. It's more than cigars. It's a fucking attitude. That's what it's all about.
And the cigars kind of play into that whole, that whole thing of like you said, the attitude as well, being most of them are kicked up and have that, spice and the chocolate and all that in those cigars. It's got that strong full body feel that goes along with the attitude.
Yeah. And what's so great now too is one of our farms is on Ometepe Island, and for those of you that don't know, that's a volcanic island. There's actually 2 volcanoes on that island.
That's actually, Danny had said that before, that the volcanic soil tobacco from Ometepe makes for some of the best and most complex cigars.
Yes, it truly does. And it's a tobacco that's hard to get because that's such a small island. And a lot of the bigger brands actually buy it up from the farmers. Mm-hmm. So if, one thing that was amazing about Oveja Negra is they were actually able to get their hands on that tobacco. So that's so great for a boutique brand, so huge applause to them because that allowed us to also have the availability to have Ometepe when we were still with them as well. So the Molotov has Ometepe in it. And now, it's such a great tobacco. And what makes it so complex is the fact that one of those volcanoes is still active. So last year it erupted 3 times. So now we have tobacco leaves that by next year, we're going to be able to notice the difference based on that ash that landed on the plant. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And also because that's a smaller island, the soil changes from the water of the lake. Right. And, as you walk inwards towards the volcanoes, the composition of that soil changes drastically, even on just our farm. You'll notice it go from sandy to sandy mixed with like more of a clay. And then it goes from that to like this really powdery, like literally when you step down, it's just like smoke that goes into the air. It's crazy.
Wow.
So like that also means that you're getting different nutrients in your tobacco leaves, right? And it's so awesome to watch those plants grow and see how they respond to that soil, and then to know what you have to do to ensure that they are all growing in a uniform fashion, right? Like you have to know all of that stuff. It's so crazy. And I feel so blessed and honored to be able to have a tobacco farm on that island because it's so unique. So I'm grateful for it. And like I said earlier, like our son has worked on the farm as well. So he's learned that stuff. And the workers, they do it a lot of times barefoot because they understand the importance of not putting too much weight on the soil. We use oxen instead of heavy machinery. So you get to actually see traditional methods of farming where, you have the 2 oxen and the wood that goes across their head, or the horse that's got the plow behind it, like it's such an amazing and different experience that you really can't move into modern machinery in this area. You can't do it. It's just not big enough for that. So it's always going to be more traditional, and that I am so grateful for, because you will always see a more indigenous side to things on that island.
So now let me ask you this. So like you brought up before, being a woman in this business, and I know there's a few women we interviewed on our podcast, and how is it you being a woman that have great cigars out, that how is it with the bigger companies?
It's wonderful. Like when I went to Dubai, do you know Luciano, the brand Luciano?
Yep.
I was with him and his wife the entire time. Same with Christian Iora, because I was a moderator for one of the panels with them, and I also spoke on one of the panels with Matt Boofy,
Okay.
for those of you that know.
Yep.
Because I have been slowly actually being put in with the big players, and I don't take that lightly. It's me having an awareness that they understand that I have educated myself and I have positioned myself in a certain way. And I'm so thankful for that, because I think as a woman, sometimes, most of the time, people are very willing to listen. They want to hear what you have to say because they want to know if what you're saying is fact. You know, they want to see if you're just a pretty face or if you are actually educated in this. And I'm always up for that challenge. I think it's wonderful. And also changing the dynamic, because there's this, I haven't experienced it myself because, you know, I come from the manufacturer side, but I know a lot of women struggle with walking into a cigar lounge and the people that work there assume that a woman doesn't smoke cigars or they don't know how to smoke cigars. So they try to put them onto Tatiana's or onto an acid or just a light cigar. And so many women are like, or they want to light the cigar for them. And they're like, no, let me just, I know what I'm doing, you know? So I hope that with my presence, more people will understand that women are very important in this industry. A lot of them have done the research. Our palates are very refined. We can pick up on a lot of flavors that a lot of men can't pick up on. So that's why I'm thankful that I'm also blending cigars, because I think that holds a lot of value to it, because I can pick up on things. But it's also very important for people like Josh to be in this industry, because he can't pick up on a lot of flavors. And that represents also a lot of people in the industry who, as consumers, they like smoking cigars. But if I say something tastes like a water chestnut or an almond, they might not pick that up, but they might say, yeah, this is a good cigar, or this is a cigar I wouldn't smoke again. And that is just as valuable as someone who can pick up on a lot of flavors or that can retrohale, you know? So there's very important aspects to both sides of that, you know? So as a woman in the
more
industry,
flavors than me. He picks up more flavors than me, and I've been smoking 30 years. But I guess, I don't know, maybe I just enjoy my cigars, and I'm not
most of the time I enjoy my cigars too. I just, every once in a while I get on like a retrohale or like on the back of my palate, it'll be like a note that I've never gotten before. So then I'll really kind of like pay attention as I'm doing it to try to pick up what it might be.
And then, you know, Joey's the kind of guy that likes to try to find something wrong with the cigar.
Not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way.
I say it's like the wrestling world. There's always something to improve on. Yeah. And we've interviewed a few people, and I'm like I can't. There's nothing.
Like right now, there's
nothing I can say that, you know, this or that. I'm like, because it's you know, when you find something that you're looking for that fits your palate, it's kind of hard to, well, you know, maybe if this was different or, you know, this or this. Like, I don't count burn because I count that as user error.
Yeah.
You know,
storage issue.
It weird.
How it was lit.
If I have 3 or 4 of the same cigar and it burns weird, then I start looking at, it's probably not a user error.
Right.
It's probably a manufacturing error, or it's not bunched right and there's a hole and they didn't catch it or whatever. You know, after a certain amount of them, it's like, all right, now is it really my fault for lighting it wrong? Or is there just something wrong with that, you know, that box or that batch?
There's so many things that can go into that. You know, maybe the recipe, you know, the amount of leaves per whatever, maybe that's not a good combination. Maybe one wasn't fermented long enough. You know, maybe there's too much moisture in one. There's so much that goes
exactly. Into that. And you know, I don't complain about cigars when I talk to manufacturers. Like I'm the kind of person that, like, I'll email them and say, hey, listen, you know, this is like the third or fourth one I've had, and it's done the same thing. Just an FYI, just to kind of keep your eyes open. I'm like, I'm not complaining. I'm not looking for anything. I'm more or less somebody who enjoys your product, who's letting you know, like, hey, listen, there's some sort of issue you might have to look at. I don't know what it is, but, you know, maybe I figure if I let you know, you'll go back to the right people and they'll kind of figure out what's going on.
So, guys, on that note, we got to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back. Sorry about the commercials.
1, 2, 3. back. We're back, guys. Look at that. It wasn't that long. See, you didn't even know we were gone. Didn't even know we were gone. So yeah, so like I said, when we were kind of before we went to break, we were talking about the essential, like letting the manufacturers know about if, like I said, if there's 3 or 4 out of the same box, then you kind of have to, I don't complain about stuff like that because again, I'm there to enjoy the cigar. I know from everybody we've sat down with that if there's something like that, that you guys like to know because there might be something, like you said, that may have gotten mixed up in the recipe, or maybe, like you said, too much moisture or something that, you may have to go back and say, hey, we got to look at this because this is, 3 or 4 out of the same box. We kind of have to look at stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lot, there's always an issue. Sorry. If there's an issue, it's like based on this shipment, right? So it's going to be whatever is there for this time. And it will be the next time, probably. And if it is, then yeah, you got major issues for sure.
And being that they're handmade,
exactly.
You gotta, there's always going to be something, right? But it's so important to keep them handmade. You don't want them, in my opinion, machine rolled. Handmade keeps the artisans employed, and it keeps cigars special, in my opinion, But one thing that I always giggle about was when people talk about how they get, like a stem in their cigar. And I always have to laugh about that because the tobacco actually gets destemmed. So there's really not stems. And what a lot of people usually end up getting is, depending on the type of leaf that is in there, if you're using Ligero versus Seco, Ligero gets way more sun. So that means that the veins are going to be a lot thicker because they're just, Ligero is strong, it's pulling in everything from the sun. So you're getting a thicker vein is what that is, versus something lower on the plant that's not pulling in as much as the sun. So it's not as strong. So it's not taking in as many nutrients, so it's stuff like that people have to take into consideration when they're smoking their cigars. If it's a heavier cigar, you might find kind of thicker veins in there. That's just part of it, So I think education is very important. If you are an avid cigar smoker, you have to understand what goes on with these cigars to make an educated, how do I put it?
Just an educated experience.
Yeah. And if you want to tell a manufacturer, hey, there's this problem or that problem, then just make sure you understand like the leaves that are going on inside that cigar, because that may explain so much for you. But if there's things like you're consistently getting tunneling, like tunneling is very normal. That just happens sometimes because in the bunching process, sometimes that's just created. You can't get around it. It sucks. Everybody hates tunneling. Everyone's going to get it from every brand. But if it's consistent, you're smoking the cigar and you're constantly getting tunneling, then maybe they can trace that back to, okay, who was the buncher? What's going on with this buncher? Maybe they need, just a little bit more teaching or whatever it may be. So those things are always very good to know, but maybe try smoking that cigar a few times before telling somebody, because they're, like I said, they're all handmade. That's what's beautiful,
So Danny said he's going to need to know.
Yeah, he doesn't ship, Danny, so it's not going to help you. Even if I tell you where I got him, because he doesn't ship cigars.
So Danny says he needs to know where he can get the Molotov, because
the Molotov, yeah. He needs to know the name of the shop we got them from, but that guy doesn't ship.
He can.
He's in Florida.
Oh.
Florida.
Try Fat Boy Cigars. Fat Boy Cigars online might still have Molotov. Toro Cigar Company just sold out of Molotov, and I actually think our stock at the warehouse is pretty dwindled down to nothing when it comes to Molotov. So that's something we got to get out there again. It's still not considered a core line, so it was limited edition. We've done that twice. We're still trying to figure out.
You're right, Danny. I do ship.
Danny, I do ship. Just PayPal money to Joey. We'll go pick them up. We'll ship them to you. Don't worry.
There you go. That's the way.
So, guys, great with you,
If you
man. Listen, I
they'll
don't
ship
know what else
sometimes too.
to say, you know, man. So tell us the average price of your cigars, and is the tariffs affecting you in any way?
They will.
Well, average price is hard to say. I mean, the MSRP is anywhere from like 11 to what, 15?
Yeah, 15.
But it's all dependent, obviously, on the lounges.
Right.
But yes, tariffs are absolutely a big deal because it's a matter of, does the manufacturer eat that or does the lounge eat that? And personally, I feel like if it's put in the hands of the lounge, they can at least raise their prices so they can get their money back, where our margins as a manufacturer is so much lower than a lounge. So it's a little bit harder for us to adjust things on our side. So yeah, it's something that every manufacturer and lounge has to figure out right now. And it's not easy. This is a terrible thing that's going on. And, you know, without getting into too much on the political side, you know, more so this was about, I think, labor rights in Nicaragua. And the biggest fight that PCA is trying to do with this right now is to show that, okay, there may be some labor rights issues in Nicaragua, but that doesn't apply to the cigar industry because you have artisans working on these cigars. And these people are paid well for their knowledge. You know, these are artisans who were taught by their family. You know, this is generation after generation after generation of these people knowing how to make cigars. And so they're appreciated for that. So this industry is a little bit different in Nicaragua than other industries in Nicaragua. So PCA is working very, very hard to not necessarily get rid of the tariffs because that's outside of our thing, but to maybe have cigars excluded from the tariffs.
There's been exemptions in countries for different, very specific industries, and hopefully this becomes one of those exemptions, because this is one of those things that, I mean, that's their biggest, as far as I know, it's their biggest export other than like coffee and sugarcane.
Right.
But
jeans and t-shirts are big here too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to get too much into politics, especially because, you know, Nicaragua is very tight-lipped with a lot of stuff, and, you know, I want to respect everything. But yeah, so PCA is doing a really good job behind the scenes of trying to work this all out, and I'm really hopeful that changes for the cigar industry, because it'll kill a lot of businesses.
Where can we find your cigars in New York, New Jersey, Florida, things like that?
Oh gosh,
we'd have to look.
We'd have to pull up the list, but there's many in that area. I mean, you have just off the top of my head, you know, you have Buttheads, you have Main Street Cigars, you have what's the lounge? Lena and John Reamer. I can't think of.
Village
New Tobacco Village.
Yes, you have them.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many lounges. I would have to pull up the list, and I don't have it on me. But
do you make appearances? Like, if they ask you to come in, do you make appearances?
Yeah. Yep. It just depends on scheduling. And what's crazy about this industry, unlike other industries, is the manufacturer and the principals typically have to pay their way to get into these lounges, and that can be really hard for some brands if financially, you know, they're in a tight spot. So it just all depends on if that principal can afford to do that, and if they can also make it a whole tour. Like when I was on tour, I'd make sure I could hit a bunch of lounges in that area. So New England, you know, when I went there, it was lounges like, I mean, Delaware all the way up to like Maine and New Hampshire. And
I can't wait to meet you.
What's that?
I said, I can't wait to meet you. And of course, I got to meet Josh. I got to meet Josh too.
I don't travel near as much. If you come to Nicaragua, we'll sit down for some cigars. I can promise you that.
So now let me ask you this. So I don't know if you guys drink. What is the best thing to pair your cigars with?
Oh, actually, do you want to go grab it?
Yeah, give me a second.
Some of you may not know.
She said, do you want to go grab it?
I actually also work with Penelope Bourbon. I don't know if you guys have heard that brand.
Yes.
They're the fastest growing bourbon brand in the United States. And I actually work with them. So we created this right here, which if you look hard enough, I know it's on sharedpour.com. You can find it on there. There's a lot of stores that have already sold out of this, but it's the chapter 1 of cigar sessions. So I actually blended this with Lee Marsh from Stolen Throne. And this took us 2 years to create, and like endless cigars.
We're gonna have to hit them up and have them on a show then.
Yeah, I mean it's great, you know, and this is the reason why this is called chapter 1 is because there's going to be more that we do and come out with. But yeah, this was an awesome experience, and it was blended based on the cigars we were smoking, because there's actually a lot of people that think that, like, if you see a cigar bourbon, a lot of people assume it's going to have the same notes as a cigar, and that's not how this was. And in fact, when you drink this on its own, there's no finish. Like you'll notice that the flavors just disappear really fast. But when you smoke this with a cigar, it's going to enhance your cigar experience and actually enhance this bottle. So it creates its own finish once you start drinking this with a cigar. It's really crazy. It's really unique. And like I said, it took us 2 years to create because of how unique this is.
I'm going to have to see if my local liquor store has that.
Yeah, if not, like I said, I know Shared Pour, they partner with Shared Pour. So just go on that website and you should be able to find it. It is a more expensive bourbon, as most of their bourbons are, because they're such a unique company. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful bourbon. It actually technically doesn't fall in the bourbon category. It's more of a whiskey, but they did end up ultimately labeling it as a bourbon. And it's just shy of 7 years. It's like 6 years and 300 days or something like that. So yeah, it's a really good bourbon. What's that?
No, that's interesting, because, you know, I've seen a lot of companies start to partner with them, like doing or pairing their cigars with their, you know, whiskeys or bourbons. They've been kind of on the uprise, so to say.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
I've seen a lot of people do stuff with them.
And what's awesome about them is they aren't going to fake knowing something, right? Like, they really wanted to do something for cigars, but they knew and understood right away that they had no idea what they were doing because they don't smoke cigars. And so they reached out to myself and to Lee Marsh to start this. And then it was such a success that now basically we're going to be doing a lot more in the future with them. So it's a really exciting upcoming adventure. And it's just really cool because they're really humble people, and, you know, they know the areas that they know, and they know to reach out for the ones that they don't. And so it creates a great partnership, you know, and those that smoke cigars understand that bourbon and cigars go really well together, but some cigars may go good with one bourbon and some cigars may go good with another. You know, it just depends on what you're smoking and the type of bourbon that you're drinking. So this was blended, actually, I forgot to mention, this was blended to go best with medium body cigars that aren't overly heavy on the pepper side. Because if you have something that's overly peppery, it's going to kind of mute this bourbon a little bit. So you want something that complements both. So medium, so the Molotov actually and the Plasmatic will both pair really well with this.
Okay. I'm gonna have to see if we can find that and try it.
I'm gonna have to call Viscount.
If not, I'm sure there's gotta be somebody that has them.
For what it's worth, I often have my cigars, especially medium bodied or lighter cigars, with hot like fruit teas and stuff. So, you know, that's kind of my go-to. Or
I do a lot of I do a lot of my cigars with coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker.
Yeah.
I don't drink a lot of I drink my bourbon, my whiskey, but I have to be like in the mood for it. And it's not very often I am. But a lot of times, like, I'll go get coffee, I'll drink it with coffee, water, you know, iced tea, whatever, something, depending on the cigar. It might be sweeter, it might be more bitter that I'm drinking, you know, just to try to pair it well with the cigar. And I mean, I've always found coffee's a pretty good pair with just about every cigar, except for like the overly like sweet ones. Like I would say, like, you know, that overly like sweetened, like Sweet Cap or something with maybe pipe tobacco, it may not pair well with, because it's the way the tobacco is I guess blended and put in there. It's that's just me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think a lot of cigars that are sweet, whether it's just the cap or if it's infused, to me, in my personal opinion, if I smoke them, it would be on their own without anything. I think they're meant to be smoked on their own.
So now I know you said that you like a V cut and Josh likes a straight cut. Do you guys use matches, soft flames? Do you guys have a preference? Does it depend on what you're doing or where you are?
Because we had John Huber on and he sent us a Bic lighter.
Yeah. Well,
we use everything here in Nicaragua. It's kind of hard to get butane. We have a store in town that has butane, but I mean, when you're like, if you go to Oveja Negra, what they have on the tables are Bics, so we've gotten so used to just using Bics for everything. I really like the really thin flames, the really precise ones. Leif & Lam has a wonderful lighter for that. And a lot of times when I travel, due to TSA, I mean, you can't have cutters and stuff on you. They have to be put in a check bag.
Right.
So a lot of times I just have a punch bracelet on me and I'll use that the whole time I travel. I'm not too picky. As long as like the punch cut isn't too deep so I don't get tar, then I'm fine with it. Like it's the tar that bothers me. So like, which I think it would bother anybody. So as long as it doesn't cut into the tar, like I can use anything. I don't care as long as I can smoke my cigar.
Yeah,
I get a couple of cigars with tar on it, and I kind of cut it after that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like not like when people talk about cigar smokers and like there's kind of a ritual that goes with it. Everybody has their own, right? You set your stuff out, you get ready to do it, and all that. I think that's great. But like I'm just like a dude that likes cigars. It just so happens my wife blends cigars and. We own a business in the industry. But, man, I just want to light my shit and sit and chill with my dogs and my wife and have a chill night. And I know that's not like the cool, I have my smoking vest and I light it with a cedar spill. And, like, all that is absolutely cool. I think that's great. But also, we fucking live here. This and a flat cut's the easiest shit to do. It's just it helps me enjoy it the way I need to enjoy it.
Listen, and I don't know, there's people that, and like you said, that will set up a whole big, ordeal to sit down and smoke a cigar. I'm like you. I got an ashtray, I got a cutter and a lighter. All right, cool.
Cut my cigar.
I put on my TV, whether it's my wrestling or whatever, and just leave me alone. Let me smoke my cigar and enjoy my couple of hours of peace. Just leave me alone. I'm not bothering nobody. I'm not here to look for cedar and this. I grab whatever I can grab. If I don't have butane, I grab a Bic. If I don't have Bic, I have a drawer full of matches.
When I retired in April, my wife and my kids bought me this shirt that said, I retired and I'm smoking cigars. They bought me socks that says, if you can see this on one foot says, if you can see this, the other one says, grab me a cigar.
Nice.
Love it.
So because I'm curious, and I know like we're, at least as far as I'm aware, nearing kind of the last half of this interview, I have to ask you guys a question because you're wrestling fans. If you guys watch podcasts, this comes up with everybody else. But what's your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
I'll let you go first.
Well, Captain Lou is number one. Then we got the Von Erichs. Then we'll go with Mark the Undertaker.
Right.
Then, of course, I got to go with Stone Cold because Stone Cold's a friend of mine. And then we got to go with Rikishi because he's a good friend of mine.
Nice.
So I would have to go. I'd have to go Ric Flair because you can't not put him on that list.
Well, Rick's on the list, but enough's enough.
I mean. If you're gonna go championships wise, it's got to be John Cena, Ric Flair, Triple H, Randy Orton. If you're going title wise,
right?
But it would have to be Ric Flair, John Cena to be on that list, Undertaker, Bruno would have to be on that list somewhere.
Bruno San Martino, the commissioner.
This just got to be a huge Mount Rushmore, man. You got like 8 people.
I got my Mount Rushmore is only. It depends on how you're going. If you're gonna go regular, like I said, it would be John Cena, Ric Flair, Bruno, Undertaker would have to be on that list, and probably Rock.
Well, I can't forget my trainer.
That would have to be it.
I can't forget my trainer.
Which one?
Pops.
Yes.
And then Johnny Rods.
Yeah, I forgot about Johnny.
And the late great Pete McKay.
That's a different Mount Rushmore for you though.
Right.
But
I totally get it.
It depends on how you want. Like, if you phrase Mount Rushmore as championship, that's a different class of Mount Rushmore, wrestlers. If you're just looking for a regular Mount Rushmore, then that's totally different compared to, each Mount Rushmore is going to be different.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah. I mean, because for me, it's not based on that. It's like Terry Funk. You got to have the Ultimate Warrior because he might have been a stiff, but God, he was entertaining. And,
he was.
Mark Calloway, of course. And I don't know. Then there's a lot of other guys that are underrated that were awesome. Like Hercules was great. Macho Man was great. There's so many greats for different reasons that can fill that last spot.
Yeah, Jake the Snake, just promo-wise, Jake the Snake would have to be on there.
A lot of people don't realize that the Ultimate Warrior started in Dallas, Texas as the Dingo Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was with Sting.
A lot of people don't realize
Actually, he started on Power Team USA with Sting.
With Sting.
And then they got brought in as the Dingo Warriors, I think it was.
Yes.
Or something like that.
So, guys, on this note, we'd like to have you back again.
Absolutely.
And when you put out the new cigars, please hit us up. You have Joey's email and everything.
We'd love to have you guys back on.
Love to have you back. It was great having you on here, Cynn.
I will make sure that I'm going to pick up more of the cigars because they're delicious. If you haven't had them, get them.
And Dusty Rhodes, yes, Johnny. Yes,
Danny. Dusty Rhodes, yes.
So
forgot
guys,
about him.
On that note, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for coming on, taking the time out of your busy schedule. Josh, I know you got some motivational speaks to do. Cynn, I know you got a lot of stuff to do with the factory and stuff. Thank you, and we appreciate it. And I'm enjoying this.
I'm going to pick up more for sure.
Yes, we're going to go back to Buttheads.
Thank you.
But now I want to try the rest of what he has.
They're good.
I've had 2 so far, and I'm very impressed. Like I said, between the soapbox and the Molotov, I'm thoroughly
and we're gonna have to try the box that looks like a unicorn.
I've heard great things about your cigars, regardless, from so many different people. It's always been a brand that I've been meaning to pick up. When you get so into trying to find all these other brands, it's like brands get lost in the shuffle. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, that's one brand I've been meaning to try for a while. I'm like, and every time I go, there's like 8 or 9 new ones that I want to grab. And it just kind of gets lost along with a few other brands in the shuffle of trying to try everything.
Yeah, sure. Totally get it.
So, guys, take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your year.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on and taking time out of your busy schedule. We'll be in touch.
All right. Perfect. Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And there you have it, guys. Turnbuckles and Stogies Pod. We are here. Check us out on all streaming networks. I am the host with the most, the big dog, the Vanilla Gorilla, and this has been Turnbuckles.
And listen, go back to last night's episode that was live on the show on the YouTubes, and go watch Battleground Pro Wrestling. Listen to us on the call. Correct. It was a lot. I will say it was a lot of fun doing that.
It was a lot of fun.
Haven't done that in a long time.
A lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun to be back behind the desk.
We'll do that next time.
It would be better if I was there in person, but again, that may be down the line.
Hold on. Tag team division. You better look out for the Untouchables because we coming to take them titles from you, JP. See ya. Gotta go. Peace out.
So listen, guys, I don't know. I don't believe I have a guest next week, which is okay.
So we're going to be shooting from the hip.
So we'll be talking about a lot of stuff. It'll give us time to watch the rest of the fallout from Survivor Series last night, War Games. It'll give us a chance to watch the fallout from AEW this week, because that was Saturday.
Yeah, we got to check that out too.
Well, we'll be able to watch the fallout on Wednesday and stuff like that, and lead up to winter is coming. Start talking about that.
Hey, Kingston.
Some stuff coming up. We have bunny droppings coming on the 14th of December. Like I said, I don't believe I have anybody else for the next couple of weeks, but that doesn't mean that won't happen between now and then.
Correct.
So,
on that note, guys,
it's been a very fun episode.
Sorry
we were late. We're glad to be here with you, and we will see you next week.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.